بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة ومن يوق شح نفسه فأولئك هم المفلحون. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين عليه السلام. المؤمنين والمؤمنات, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our efforts and increase our rewards as we continue to commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his family members and his companions. We started from the beginning of the month a discussion on the manifestation of love or divine love in Karbala. Karbala became the real manifestation of love. And I spoke of the love that the Almighty God gave to us humans as part of His favors upon us, honored us with it. And every human, in fact everything that He created, He says in the Holy Quran through the words of Nabiullah Musa ala nabina wa alayhi salam, when he's asked, who is your God? He says, my God is the one that gives everything its creation and then guides it. ثُمَّ هَدَى. Everything gets its guidance. And the guidance is in accordance with its level of priority in the creation. And since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored human beings, honored us, He gave us further guidance. And through His mercy, He sent the messengers. They became a manifestation of His love for us. However, we then discussed how we need to reciprocate the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with our display of love for Him. The best example for humanity, in fact, became Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The best example of love, because he followed Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and followed his father Amirul Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, and through his revolution he imprinted in the history of mankind this experience of the extreme love that he displayed in Karbala. when we speak of the extreme love, I gave some examples last night, in fact, about that love that was displayed, in fact, in Karbala through him, his family members, and his companions. Their love for salat and ibadah, their love for giving for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to give without any conditions and give the most dear, the most valuable to them. And I put that as a reminder for all of us, that what are we willing to give for Imam Hussein alayhi salam? We gather and commemorate and cry, but what are we willing to give? Are we willing to give anything? What have we given? We need to ask ourselves, what have I done as an individual, myself, for the Imam? He gave all what he gave. What have I given? This is an example that he set for humanity about giving and sacrificing. Tonight I want to speak a little more about this aspect of sacrifice. In fact, sacrifice is said to be the manifestation of true love. If one truly loves, they put their beloved before themselves. Sacrifice is when you put someone before yourself. You're willing to give up something that gives you pleasure, gives you happiness, for the sake of making someone else happy, pleasing someone else. And that itself is one of the proofs of the miracle of love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. One of the proofs of His creation is in fact His love. He says, when He says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, amongst His signs is that He made pairs for you, and He made between you, and I'm paraphrasing here, He made between you mawaddata wa rahma, that mercy and love that He has put between you is one of His signs. It is His sign that we have that kind of affection for one another. One of the best examples of it, or best manifestation of love, is sacrifice. Sacrifice is something that researchers in psychology and social studies have been, or have found it very difficult, have been unable to really explain. How does it work? Why? Often because they look at things from a materialistic point of view. When you look at it from a materialistic point of view, what they say is for everything there's a motive. There are several layers of motives. You have some biological motives. For instance, when you are thirsty, you want water. And water will bring you pleasure, happiness, when you drink it. This is a biological need, biological motive. You need it. Your body physically needs it. There are some other needs or motives that leads to our actions. All of it is to maximize happiness and minimize pain. Maximize pleasure and minimize pain. This is what they say the motive is. And therefore, when it comes to sacrifice, it is not easy to explain anymore. How could somebody maximize someone else's pleasure with his own pain? It's the opposite of that motive. And therefore, the only way, my brothers and sisters, we can understand it is to go to the spiritual realm and look at the spiritual pleasures that we gain. And so in the recent history, or in the modern day, in fact, researchers have come to certain realizations. They have done research and proved a new theory And that is the fact that you gain more happiness by helping others. In other words, selfless acts bring you more pleasure than selfish acts, which is opposite to what the assumption was and what they expected. By giving, you gain more pleasure than by withholding, whether it be, time or money or anything. Therefore, in reality, now how it works is no longer on a physical level. The only way we can understand this is when you go to a spiritual level. On a physical level, how could you be happy with pain? How could I be happy with pain? How could one be happy with thirst? On a physical level, when body wants water, unless you give it water, the body is dehydrated, the hormones are all over the place, naturally you're not feeling well. Isn't that the case? The physical body is not feeling well. But when you fast, do you not feel the pleasure of thirst? That's an example. You're doing something for a bigger reason. Here the body can wait. I hope we have at some point felt the pleasure of thirst because we are doing something to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those who have felt that, they know very well that it is a lot more pleasurable than actually drinking water when you're thirsty. Drinking water when you're thirsty brings happiness, for sure, no doubt. But when you withhold from drinking for a bigger cause, for a spiritual reason, we go on a higher level of pleasure and happiness. This is the concept of sacrifice. And this was the concept displayed best and manifested best in Karbala. Examples and examples we can speak of regarding this concept of sacrifice. My brothers and sisters, we speak of their sacrifice. The reason and the purpose is for you and I to learn from them. Again and again I say it, there is no point claiming the love of Ahlul Bayt. It would be a false claim if we're not learning from them, learning what they stood for, what their principles were, so that we can implement it in our life. That is the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed the love in the Holy Quran. He tells us that we need to love the qurba, but for a reason, so that we can gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Through what? Through learning from them. My question for myself and for all of us, how much do we actually sacrifice? And this is a serious issue in today's world. Again, we're living in a very materialistic society, consumerist materialistic society. It's all about me, myself, and I. All about the individual. It's a very individualistic society. There is little that people actually do for others unless it brings back some benefit for them. And this is again the concept that they speak of even in psychology and social studies. They try to explain it through some individual benefit, always. Even bringing the concept of sacrifice, they want to explain it. How do people do it? There must be some benefit for themselves. So now they're saying, well, it's because they feel happier, therefore they're doing it. There must be something in it for me. It's always about, yes, there is something so much in it for me in a spiritual level, not on the physical level. There's nothing, when it comes to sacrifice, there's nothing in the physical level, nothing in the material world. The main motive, and this is the real ithar. Ithar has to have ikhlas with it, sincerity. If sacrifice is not accompanied with sincerity, it is not real sacrifice. So if somebody is doing something out of a gain here, so I'm giving up something for a gain here. For example, when it comes to sadaqat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that you give it and He multiplies it for you. So often people look at it in this very materialistic world, the world of matter. They give waiting for the multiplication. So I give today 1,000 to the center for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and I'm waiting, when is that 10,000 landing in my account? It's very common, believe it or not. Waiting. And then when somehow some sustenance comes, then there it is. I make the link, there it is. Alhamdulillah. You know the real giving that will be multiplied and really accounted, and the multiples will be more than the 10 times and more than the 700 times and more than the 1400 times and more. And I'm giving you examples, the numbers based on ayat from the Holy Quran. Way more than that is when it's preserved for you in the akhirah. That is the real reward. And that is the real sacrifice. When it's for that, not for here. وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for that, let those who compete for that one, not for this. Even the term used is ذَلِكَ, not هذا. For what is in akhirah, compete. If you want to display selfishness, display it for the akhirah. In what regard? You know, when it comes to a good deed, there are some people that really don't want to leave anything for anyone else. Volunteering in the majalis, they don't want to leave anything for anyone else. Not that they would act in a rude, abrupt manner, because then there's a problem with the whole thing. But they really want to do so much. When it comes to giving, the same thing. Unfortunately, again, in this materialistic world, this concept of sacrifice is becoming scarce, rare. Something like, perhaps the best term for it would be antique, which is rare and belongs to the old days. It's almost like no longer applicable, which is very unfortunate. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Waqi'ah says, ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ. A group of the early times and only few in the end of times. Ratio, relatively, in terms of percentage, the society is growing in numbers. Now I don't know, have we passed, I think we've passed 7 billion and we're approaching maybe the 8. Okay. A decade ago, or a century ago, or 500 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, the numbers were a lot less. At the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. A big city, a very big city would have 100,000 people. Now a very big city has maybe in the 10 million or something, perhaps. Or even more. Some big cities have in the 20+ million. So now you look at the ratio. If that was the ratio then, we expect a lot more good people. A lot more Malik al-Ashtar for Amirul Mu'mineen. And I'm giving examples of non-ma'sumin. A lot more Salmans and Abadhar. Where are they? A lot more of the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, where are they? We could be. And that would be the preparation for our present Imam. That is the real meaning of Ya laytana kunna ma'akum. We want to be with them. We have our present Imam. What are we doing for him? Are we doing our duty? Are we sacrificing? Are we willing to sacrifice? So that the Imam comes? Or are we all about myself? I save my boat. unfortunately, again, I say it, the society does not help. Because we get influenced by من عاشر قوما 40 يوما صار منهم. You interact with people 40 days, you become one of them. The society here is very materialistic. Sacrifice is not there. And you might say, well, there are many good people. Yes, there are many good people. But it's all as long as their benefits here are guaranteed. ما دارت معايشهم. This is what Imam Hussein alayhi salam described at his time. At that period, because of the way things had become, the Imam says, now people have become slaves of dunya. Therefore, there was a need for revolution. We need a revolution here too. Today we need a revolution. He says, deen, religion is only on their tongues, as long as life is good. And most people, often I tell people, akhlaq, we say akhlaq is not what we call in Arabic nisbi, is not relative. Akhlaq is ethics, morals, morality is in a total thing. You cannot have morality in one aspect of your life and not in another aspect. And when we have morality, real akhlaq, it leads to your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they say, well, what about atheists? Some of them are very good. Then the question is, what is the motive? Exactly what we're discussing. What is the motive? They realize that with displaying good behavior, they have a good livelihood. They realize by displaying, for example, anger, you have bad health yourself. You expose yourself to heart attack. So don't display anger. You live better, healthier. So it's all about here. And their reward is here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them everything here. There's no debt, nothing left for the hereafter. We're speaking of sacrifice for the real reason, the sincere one. It should be with no motive for dunya, for the akhirah. This is where we need to think, how many of us actually have that kind of sacrifice? Nowadays, people don't even sacrifice for their own children. You may wonder, is that possible? It has to be for akhirah and sincere. We want it easy. We want children for the pleasure. In this society, they replace children, excuse the terms, with dogs. Why? They keep their company and they don't have all the trouble. It's a lot easier. Again, because it's all about this dunya. فَإِذَا مُحِّصُوا, the Imam says, if they are struck with a difficulty, when the financial crisis hit America, there were some movies made which were exaggerated, but it displayed some real reality. Some of the jokes, they say there's truth in every joke. It was a little exaggerated, but people almost killed for a job because it meant keeping their house. The same people who were so nice and whatever. When a hurricane comes, neighbors killed for food or carried the gun almost ready to kill for food. This is what happens to a materialistic society. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored us with the characteristic of being able to love one another and sacrifice for one another. The more we get close to Him, the more we grow that love for Him, the more we can give each other. The rate of divorce is getting higher. Why? Because there is no sacrifice. It's all about my gain. And a lot of it has to do with material gain. In the last few years that I was in this country, I have performed, and this is very sad, and I have no choice, more divorces than marriages. Now you say the numbers should indicate more marriages than divorces because the society is growing. It's not like we have more people at the age of, or less people at the age of marriage, therefore there are less marriages now, and more people got married before, therefore divorce. No, there should be more marriages. But unfortunately, it's the other way around. And most of it over financial gains and losses. This is just the sad story. Now you want to follow this society and not follow the teachings of Ahlul Bayt and the love that they displayed, we will be like this society. We will suffer the same as they are suffering. There will be no principles, no values, because it's all based on material. Values based on material are not real, they're fake values. Unless you take it to the higher level and it becomes spiritual, it is something beyond this world and beyond the gain and loss in this world, which is the real sacrifice, sincere sacrifice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's look at some of the examples. In the day or the night prior to the day of Ashura, as it got closer to the day of Ashura, as things became more clear that there is a war, and as the companions of the Imam became more clear that they're going to be killed, you would expect them, naturally, the assumption would be they would be fearful and sad. Yes? But read the history. Burayr is one of the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He was a teacher of Quran, an elderly man. In Kufa, he taught Quran. He came and joined the camp. He's standing with another man, being light-hearted, making very polite jokes. The man says to him, "This is not the time for jokes. What are you saying, Burayr? We are in difficulty. There's death. He says, "Don't you realize what we are going to be facing?" That's how he feels. He feels real pleasure through his sacrifice. He feels so happy that now, who would have thought, he would have said to himself, who would have thought at my age I could still gain the status of Shahada? Isn't Shahada and martyrdom all about sacrifice? Isn't it a real display of love? There's a beautiful poem in Farsi. The poet says, Karbala bustan ishq ast o shahadat ey dariq. He says, Karbala is the land of love and martyrdom. But it is sad and regret that this land, it is a beautiful figure of speech he uses, that this land of love and martyrdom, which is a garden. He says that Karbala is the garden of love and martyrdom. But this land of garden and martyrdom was not watered on the day of Ashura. کالسموم تشنگی این بوستان خشکیده است. This garden is drying because of the thirst. Beautiful. This is bringing us to the sacrifice of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas salamullah alayh. Look at this man, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He's known as as-Saqqa, the one who gives water. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas on the eve of Ashura gets a letter of safety. The cursed Shimr comes to him, he says, I have a letter for you from the Amir, from my master, that you are safe. Leave the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and you are safe. You're related to us. He was related to him from the mother, from the same tribe. He says, you're related to us and you have a safety letter. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas says to him, my relationship to you gives me safety, and the relationship of Hussein, the son of the daughter of Rasulullah, does not give him safety. Woe on you. Where is your sense? He says. He comes back to the camp. Zainab Salamullah alayha watching, she says to him, let me give you a narration, share with you a narration. He says to her, share with me, sister, this is the time that speaking is beautiful in this time. He's feeling that pleasure, the pleasure of sacrificing. He's feeling it. He's happy. So he says, share. She says to him, when my mother Fatima Salamullah alayha departed, was martyred, my father Ali wanted a wife and asked his brother Aqil to find him a wife that would bring him children to be the saviors and the courageous ones to be the helpers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. For this day he was preparing you. He says, sister, Ya Zainab, Ukhayya Zainab, are you giving me encouragement? Have you doubted me? This was the conversation of love in the eve of Ashura. Sallallahu alayk ya Aba Abdullah. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. On the day of Ashura, the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, one after the other, went and sacrificed their life for the Imam, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then came the time for the family members, one after the other, went and fought. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas waiting for his turn, but he would not do anything without the permission of his master Hussein. He would not even call him brother, yet he would call him master. O Hussein, Sayyidi ya Aba Abdullah. Until time came, the Imam had no companions. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas came and said to the Imam, the children are thirsty. Some narrations say that the Imam himself came with Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas back to back, fighting the enemy, seeking the water until Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas found a way towards the river. The enemy had put 4,000 soldiers by the river bank. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas pierces through them like a lion. He is the son of Ali. عبست وجوه القوم والخوف الموت والعباس فيهم ضاحك متبسم. The enemy, all frowning, fear of death. Abbas has a smile, trying to get the water for the children, makes him so happy and pleased. قلب اليمين على الشمال وغاص في الأوساط يحصد للرؤوس ويحطم. بطل تورث من أبيه شجاعة فيا فيها أنوف بني الضلالة ترغم. A courageous man inherited bravery from his father Ali, piercing through the enemy with no fear. He gets to the river bank. حامي الضعين زينة أين منه ربيعة أم أين من علياء أبي مكدم في كف اليسرى السقاء يقله وبكف اليمنى الحسام المخدم المخدم. He gets to the river bank, fills the skin with water. Then he gets some water in his palm, looks at the water, remembers the thirst of Aba Abdullah, this loyal soldier of Imam Hussein, throws the water back on the water and he says, يا نفس من بعد الحسين هوني وبعده لا كنت أن تكوني. O soul, after Hussein you shall not exist. So much sincerity in sacrifice, so much loyalty. His body is thirsty. He has been fighting. He is so thirsty. Yet he says, if my brother and master Hussein is thirsty, then I shall not drink water until I face my martyrdom. هذا حسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين. He gets ready, he gets on the horse, waters his horse and gets back to the enemy, holding the skin with one hand, the sword with another, the banner on his under his arms, holding it tight. He is the bearer of the banner of Imam Hussein. The Imam is watching from the camp, the children are watching, the banner is still up, they are all happy. Uncle Abbas is bringing the water. He looks at the enemy gathered again. Umar ibn Sa'd, the cursed one, says, bring all the help, do not let him get to the camp. He is now charging towards them. لا أرهب الموت إذا الموت زقا حتى أوارى في المصالي تلقا. نفسي لنفس ابن المصطفى الطهر وقا. He says, I do not fear death, no matter how many they are. I may be sacrificed for the son of Rasulullah. He charges towards them. He's fighting them one after the other. He's killing the enemy until one of them hid behind a palm tree. As Aba al-Fadl is passing, he strikes the arm of Aba al-Fadl. Aba al-Fadl loses his right arm. رحم الله من نادى وعباسا. He says, والله إن قطعتم يميني إني أحامي أبدا عن ديني. By God, if you cut off my right, I would continue defending my religion. I would defend the son of the daughter of Rasulullah. He fights them with his left, holding the skin, the water skin with his teeth, trying to get the water to the children. He is fighting them. Another one of them hides from behind. When Abu al-Fadl is passing, he strikes his left. Abu al-Fadl has no arms to fight. He says to them, Ya nafs la takhshay min al-kuffari. O soul, do not fear the disbelievers. وَأَبْشِرِي بِرَحْمَةِ الْجَبَّارِ. Be sure that you will get the mercy of your Creator. He continues going towards the camp. Now all that matters to Abu al-Fadl is to get the water to the children. He has no arms to fight, yet he's carrying the banner under his armpit, continuing to fight, continuing to charge towards the camp with the water. And they start throwing arrows at Abu al-Fadl like the rain. One of them falls on his chest, another arrow in his eye. Abu al-Fadl still have hope, bringing water to the family, until he realizes that now the skin is pierced with arrows. There is no more water to take to the tent, no arms to fight the enemy. He is standing there, he stops there, حيران بين العدو لا ماء ليأخذه إلى الخيام لا يد ليقاتل بها فضربه لعين على رأسه. A cursed man hits him with a heavy iron rod on his head. Abu al-Fadl falls to the ground. For the first time he says, أخي يا أبا عبد الله أدرك أخاك. Oh brother, oh Hussein, come and help your brother. Imam Hussein sees the banner falling. He rushes towards Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, fights the enemy, removes them from near Abu al-Fadl, comes towards him. One of the narrators narrates, he says, as Imam Hussein was walking towards Abu al-Fadl, he bent down and held something and kissed it. It was the hand of Abu al-Fadl. Then he comes to the body of his brother. He comes towards him. Abu al-Fadl hears someone close to him, thinking it might be an enemy trying to behead him. He says, whoever you are, wait for my brother to come. Let me farewell my brother. دعني حتى أودع أخي الحسين. أشم ويشمني أضمه ويضمني. Imam says to him, أخي يا أبا الفضل, this is me, your brother. He sits at his head, wiping the blood from his face, puts his head in his lap. Abu al-Fadl refuses to have his head on the lap of Abu Abdullah. أخي لما تصنع هذا? Why are you doing that?
that. He says to him, Akhi ya Aba Abdullah, now you are putting my head in your lap. Soon after me, these people will have you on the ground. Who is going to hold your head? Imam Hussein gets up from next to the body of Abul Fadl, walking with a bent back. He says, Al-an inkasara dhahri. Now I have a broken back. Going towards the tent, the ladies and children ask, where is our uncle? All of them start crying, Wa Abbasa, Wa Shayda, Wa Abbasa, وغربته بعدك يا أبا الفضل. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة، ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء. عبست وجوه القوم خوف الموت، والعباس فيهم ضاحك يتبسم. قلب اليمين على الشمال، وغاص في الأوساط يختطف النفوس ويحطم. في كفه اليسرى السقاء يقله، وبكفه اليمنى الحسام المخذم، وهوى بجنب العلقمي فليته، وهوى بجنب العلقمي فليته للشاربين به يداف العلقم. فمشى لمصرعه الحسين، وطرفه بين الخيام وبينه متقسم. تعني حسين من الخيم للعلقمي، تعني من الخيم للعلقم حسين، يصيح بصوت يا عضيدي وقعت وين، بعد ما اشوف دربي يا ضوى العين.
يا خويا الكون